Imagine for a moment that you're standing before the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, at the height of the Roman Empire. He rules over millions of people, faces devastating wars, deadly plagues, and palace betrayals. Yet, he maintains an unshakable serenity. How is this possible? The answer lies in the 9 lessons I'll share with you in the next few minutes. Lessons that transformed emperors, slaves, and philosophers into absolute masters of their own emotions. And if you watch until the end, I'll reveal the best-kept secret of the Stoics, one that can literally change your life starting today. Welcome to the Mentalidade Estoica channel, where ancient wisdom meets modern challenges. If you've made it this far, it's because something inside you seeks more than just surviving the emotional chaos of everyday life. You want to master your emotions, not be mastered by them. And today I'm going to give you exactly the treasure map you're looking for. But before we dive into this transformative journey, leave a like right now, not for me, but for you. This simple gesture is the first act of commitment to your own transformation. And if you truly want to master your emotions, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell, because what I share here are not just theoretical concepts, but practical tools that you can immediately apply in your life. Become a member of the channel now. Now answer me, are you serious about your transformation or just another content consumer? Become a member and immediately receive an exclusive free ebook. VIP Early Access. Watch all videos 48 hours before the public release. While others wait, you are already applying featured member exclusives without all the comments with badges of honor. For less than a coffee a month, you join the inner circle of the truly committed. 75% will ignore this. 5% will act now and transform. Liquin, become a member. Now the difference between you and someone unshakable. They acted. Are you still thinking? Prove you are different. We live in an age of emotional extremes. Social media bombards us with triggers of anger, envy, and anxiety every second. The world seems to be in a constant state of crisis, and our minds, unprepared for this tsunami of stimuli, simply collapse. Do you know the feeling? That burst of rage in traffic that later leaves you embarrassed and paralyzing anxiety before an important presentation. The corrosive jealousy when seeing other people's success on social media, the overwhelming sadness that appears out of nowhere and steals entire days of your life. But what if I told you that over 2,000 years ago, a group of philosophers developed a complete system to deal with precisely these problems? What's more, this system has been tested in the most extreme conditions imaginable, from the imperial throne to the chains of slavery, from bloody battlefields to lonely deathbeds. Stoicism is not just another dusty philosophy lost on the shelves of history. It is a mental operating system, a set of practical tools that transform emotional chaos into serene strength. And today, here on the Mentalidade Estoica channel, I'll share the 9 fundamental lessons that form the core of this transformation. Lesson 1. The dichotomy of control. The first and most fundamental lesson of the Estoicas is simultaneously the simplest and the most revolutionary. There are only 2 categories of things in the universe, those that are under your control and those that are not. Sounds obvious, doesn't it? But stop for a second and really reflect on how many hours of your day you waste worrying about things that are completely beyond your control. Epictetus, who spent half his life as a slave in Rome, understood this better than anyone. Imagine a man in chains, the property of another human being, subjected to constant physical punishment and humiliation. Anyone would expect him to be consumed by bitterness, anger, and despair. But Epictetus discovered something extraordinary. Even in chains, he still had absolute control over his thoughts, his internal choices, and his reactions. You have power over your mind, not over external events. Realize this and you will find strength, he taught. This isn't just a pretty phrase to post on Instagram. It's a complete reconfiguration of how you experience reality. See, when you truly internalize this dichotomy of control, something magical happens. That person who cut you off in traffic is out of your control. So why waste emotional energy on that? The economy is in crisis, out of your control. Focus on what you can do to protect your finances. Your boss is in a bad mood, out of your control, but your professional reaction and your excellence at work are completely within your control. Marcus Aurelius, ruling the most powerful empire in the ancient world, wrote in his personal diary, "To confine yourself to what is in your power is freedom. To desire what is outside of it is slavery." Think about it. The most powerful man in the known world recognized that true freedom came not from external power, but from internal mastery. But how can you apply this practically to your life? Here's an exercise I practice daily and teach here on the Stoic Mindset channel. Every morning, before even picking up your phone, sit down for 5 minutes and mentally list 3 things that are worrying you. Now, for each one, ask yourself honestly, is this under my direct control? If the answer is no, consciously release that worry. If yes, identify one concrete action you can take today. This simple exercise, practiced consistently, literally rewires your brain's neural circuits. Modern neuroplasticity studies confirm what the Stoics intuited. You can train your mind to automatically filter what deserves your emotional energy and what should be discarded. Lesson 2. Love fate, love your fate. The second lesson is perhaps the most counterintuitive of all. Don't just accept what happens, but actively love everything that comes your way. Life presents you with the love of fate, nieti, deeply influenced by the Stoics, called this amor fate, a love of destiny. But don't confuse this with passive resignation or conformity. It's quite the opposite. Imagine you're playing a card game. You don't choose the cards you're dealt, that would be cheating. But a great player doesn't complain about bad cards. They find the best possible play with what they're dealt. More than that, they love the challenge of turning a bad hand into an unlikely victory. Marcus Aurelius faced one of the worst plagues in ancient history, the Antonine Plague, which decimated millions. He could have hidden in isolated palaces, immersed in bitterness and fear. Instead, he wrote, "What blocks the path becomes the path. The obstacle is the opportunity." Quote. I'll share with you a personal story that perfectly exemplifies this lesson. And yes, this happened to me before I created the Mentalidade Estoica channel. A few years ago, I was unexpectedly fired from a job I thought would be my lifelong career. At the time, it felt like the end of the world. Anxiety, anger, humiliation. All these emotions consumed me. But then I remembered this historical lesson. Instead of asking myself why this happened to me and shifting to how I can turn this into the best thing that ever happened to me, this dismissal forced me to step out of my comfort zone, develop new skills, and question what I truly wanted from life. It was this negative event that planted the seed for everything I've built since, including this channel that today helps thousands of people. Amor fati doesn't mean you should wish for tragedy or seek out suffering. It means that when life inevitably presents you with challenges, you embrace them as opportunities for growth, as your own evolution. It's the difference between being a victim of circumstance and being the hero of your own story. Seneca, the advisor to emperors and one of the most practical historians, had a fascinating exercise. He regularly slept on the floor, ate only bread and water, and wore his simplest clothes. Why? To prove to himself that even if he lost his entire fortune, he would still be able to find contentment. He was training his fat love, preparing himself to love whatever fate life presented him. Lesson 3. Premeditate Malor 1. Negative Visualization. Now, prepare yourself for one of the most powerful and misunderstood techniques in Stoicism. While the modern self-help industry preaches obsessive positive visualization, the Stoics did exactly the opposite. They deliberately visualized the worst-case scenarios. It sounds crazy. Let me explain why it's brilliant. Premeditate malorum, or premeditation of evil, is not pessimism, it's strategic emotional preparation. When you mentally rehearse possible adversities, two extraordinary things happen. First, you remove the element of surprise that amplifies the emotional impact of negative events. Second, you develop contingency plans that transform panic into prepared action. See how Seneca practiced this. Every morning, he spent a few minutes imagining, what if I lose my fortune today? What if my friends betray me? What if I'm exiled? Quote, but he didn't stop at visualization. He continued with, so how will I respond virtuously? What opportunities might this create? Quote, in the modern world, this is even more relevant. What if you lose your job tomorrow? I'm not telling you to live in paranoia, but having thought about it once calmly with a plan B in your pocket transforms a potential emotional catastrophe into just another manageable challenge. Here on the Mentalidade Estoica channel, I teach a modern version of this technique that I call emotional vaccination. Just as a vaccine exposes your body to a weakened version of a virus, to build immunity, controlled negative visualization exposes your mind to manageable versions of your fears, building emotional resilience. Let me be crystal clear about something. This isn't about living in constant fear or attracting negativity. It's about removing the power that fear of the unknown has over you. When you've rationally considered the worst-case scenario and know you can survive it, even thrive through it, you reach a level of courage most people never experience. Strategic CTA. If you find value in these lessons, show your commitment to your development journey by liking them now. And most importantly, share this video with someone who needs to hear these words. Sometimes the greatest act of love is sharing the wisdom that can free someone from unnecessary emotional suffering. Subscribe to the Stoic Mindset and join a community committed to emotional mastery and practical wisdom. Lesson 4. The Cosmic View. Pens. Lesson 4 is about perspective, but not just any perspective. The Stoics practiced what they called the view from above or cosmic view. It's a mental exercise where you zoom out of the current situation and see it from the perspective of the universe. Marcus Aurelius, amid the crushing pressures of ruling an empire, wrote, "Watch the stars in their course, as if you revolved with them." Such thoughts purify the mind of the filth of earthly life. Let's do this right now together. Imagine yourself floating above where you are now. See your house, your neighborhood, your city shrinking beneath you. Keep rising until you see your country, your continent, until the earth is just a blue sphere floating in the void. Now, think about that problem that's been keeping you awake at night. From up here, how big is it really? This isn't escapism or minimizing real problems, it's a recalibration of perspective. That argument at work that seemed like the end of the world, from a cosmic perspective, is a momentary fluctuation in a speck of cosmic dust. But remember, this doesn't make your actions unimportant. On the contrary, when you see how brief and precious your existence is on this cosmic scale, every moment becomes infinitely valuable. Carl Sagan, without being formally a Stoic, captured this perfectly. Idea when he described the Earth photographed by Voyager as a pale blue dot. All the wars, all the dramas, all the achievements and tragedies in human history took place on that tiny dot. This should humble us, yes, but also liberate us. Cosmic vision is the ultimate antidote to what I call emotional myopia, that tendency to become so fixated on immediate problems that we completely lose perspective. When you regularly practice this expanded vision, something remarkable happens. You retain the ability to care deeply about what matters, while developing a natural immunity to unnecessary drama. Lesson C: Memento Mori. Remember death. We now come to one of the most powerful and transformative practices of Stoicism. One that may seem morbid at first glance, but is actually the secret to a life without regrets. Memento mori, remember that you will die. In ancient Rome, when a general returned victorious, parading through the streets in glory, a slave would stand behind him, constantly whispering, "Memento mori." Remember you're mortal. This wasn't meant to spoil the party, but to keep the general grounded in reality and humility. Steve Jobs, in his famous Stanford speech, said, "Remembering that you're going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose." He looked in the mirror every morning and asked himself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I'm about to do today? But here's what most people don't understand about the memento mori. It's not about fear of death, it's about love for life. When you truly accept your mortality, every moment becomes precious. Is that silly argument with your partner worth it if those were your last words? Is that resentment you've been carrying for years really worth taking to the grave? CEC recommended that we give every hug as if it were our last, that we say every "I love you" as if there were no tomorrow, not out of paranoia, but out of total presence. When you hug someone knowing that one day they won't be here anymore, and neither will you, that hug becomes sacred. On the Historical Mindset channel, we practice what I call Mortal Awakening, a morning exercise where you spend just 1 minute acknowledging your mortality and then set your priorities for the day based on that awareness. It's amazing how problems that seemed enormous suddenly become trivial when viewed through the lens of mortality. Lesson 6: The Inner Fortress. Lesson 6 takes us to the historical concept of the inner citadel, the impregnable fortress of your mind that no external force can conquer unless you open its gates. This is perhaps the most powerful metaphor the Stoics bequeath to us. Marcus Aurelius, writing to himself in the war tents while leading campaigns against Germanic tribes, developed this idea. They can imprison my body, confiscate my property, tarnish my reputation, but they cannot touch my ability to choose my response. This inner fortress remains always at my command. Think of Viktor Frankl in the Nazi concentration camp. Everything was taken from him: family, freedom, basic human dignity. But he discovered what he called the last of human freedoms, the ability to choose one's attitude in any circumstance. This is the inner fortress in action. In the modern world, the attacks on our inner fortress are more subtle, but no less dangerous. Constant notifications attempt to hijack our attention. Social media algorithms manipulate our emotions. Advertising tells us we are inadequate without the product. X or Y, the culture of outrage wants us to live in a perpetual state of anger. But here's the secret I share with you from the Stoic mindset. Your inner fortress has walls, but you are the only one who holds the keys to the gates. Every time you react automatically to a provocation, you are opening those gates. Every time you pause, breathe, and consciously choose your response, you are strengthening the walls. Epictetus had a brutal but liberating phrase: "It is not events that disturb men, but their judgments of them." This means that literally nothing outside of you has the power to disturb you without your permission. Hard to accept? Absolutely true. Unquestionably. I'm going to share a technique I teach here on the channel called the sacred second. Between stimulus and response, force a second of pause, just 1 second. In that second, remember, I have a choice here. That single second is the difference between emotional reactivity and conscious response. It is in that second that you exercise your sovereignty over your inner fortress. Lesson 7, the discipline of desire. The 7th lesson directly attacks one of the main sources of emotional suffering, our uncontrolled desires. The Stoics did not preach the elimination of all desires. That would be inhumane and impractical. They taught something much more sophisticated, the discipline of desire. Seneca, one of the richest men in Rome, wrote, "Every man is poor in proportion to his desires." Stop and absorb this. It is not the lack of things that makes us poor, it is the infinite desire for more. The billionaire who needs another billion is poorer than the worker content with what he has. But here's the nuance that many miss. The Stoics were not against ambition or improvement. Marcus Aurelius worked tirelessly to be a better emperor. Seneca built his fortune and influence. The difference lies in one word: preference versus need. I prefer to have health, but I do not need it to be virtuous. I prefer to have wealth, but I do not need it to be happy. I prefer to be loved, but I do not need it to be valuable. This is the discipline of desire, transforming emotional needs into rational preferences. In the modern world, we are bombarded with messages telling us we need more success, more recognition, more products, more experiences. The entire marketing industry exists to transform desires into perceived needs, and we function like hamsters on wheels, always running, never arriving. The historical discipline of desire is revolutionary because it reverses this equation. Instead of happiness coming from getting what you want, it comes from wanting what you have. This is not conformity. You can still work for improvement, but you do so from a place of inner abundance, not desperate neediness, emotional climax. And now we come to the crucial moment of this journey. Have you noticed the pattern? All these lessons point to a single revolutionary truth. You already possess within you everything you need for inner peace and genuine happiness. Not in some distant future when you fix yourself, not when circumstances are perfect. Right now, in this very moment, this is the great revelation that transforms slaves into philosophers and emperors into sages. Your inner peace, your dignity, your ability to choose, these are your inalienable possessions. The world can take everything from you except your ability to respond with virtue. Lesson 8, the eternal present. The 8th lesson brings us to the only moment that truly exists. Now, the Stoics understood something that modern science has only recently confirmed. The past exists only as memory, the future only as imagination. The only reality is this present moment. Marcus Aurelius wrote. But what does this really mean? It means that all your anxiety about the future and all your regret about the past are literally hallucinations, mental constructs with no real substance. Think about it. When you're anxious, where is your mind, in the future, imagining scenarios that may never happen? When you're depressed, where is your mind? Often in the past, reliving what cannot be changed. But when you are at peace where you are, always without exception in the present, the Stoics practice what they called prash, continuous attention to the present moment. It's not passive mindfulness, but active and total engagement with the now. It's being completely present in your current conversation, fully focused on your current task, fully aware of your current breath. On the Historical Mentality channel, I teach that the present is not just a moment in time, it is the portal to eternity. How so? Because the present is the only place where you can exercise your will, where you can practice virtue, where you can experience life. All the power you have exists only now. Here's a transformative exercise. Whenever you find yourself lost in future anxiety or past regret, touch something physical, your desk, your own hand, anything. Feel the texture, the temperature. This touch is your anchor in the only real moment that exists. It is your path back home, to the eternal present, where all your power resides. Lesson 9. Universal Sympathy. The ninth and final lesson is perhaps the most surprising for those who view Stoicism as a cold, emotionless philosophy. The Stoics believed deeply in what they called sympatheia, the fundamental interconnectedness of all things and all beings. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher-emperor, wrote, "What is not good for the hive is not good for the bee." He saw humanity as a single organism, where the suffering of one is the suffering of all, where the good of one contributes to the good of all. This is not empty sentimentality. It is a rational recognition of a fundamental truth. We are all part of the same cosmos, governed by the same natural laws, sharing the same spark of divine reason that the Stoics called logos. When you truly internalize this universal sympathy, something extraordinary happens to your emotions. Anger toward others becomes impossible. How could your right hand hate your left hand? Envy loses its meaning. Another's success is, at a fundamental level, your success too. Compassion becomes natural. The suffering of others is recognized as your own suffering. But herein lies the beautiful paradox. The more you recognize your connection to everyone, the stronger your individuality becomes, because you stop wasting energy on comparisons, competition, and unnecessary conflict. You focus on being the best version of yourself, knowing that this automatically serves the whole. In the modern world, where polarization and tribalism dominate, this lesson is more crucial than ever. Every hateful tweet, every cruel comment, every act of dehumanization of another is, from a historical perspective, an act of self-harm. You are literally harming the organism of which you are a part. The grand synthesis. Now let me connect all the dots and reveal the ultimate secret I promised at the beginning. These 9 lessons are not isolated practices, they form an integrated system of emotional mastery. When you practice them together, something almost magical happens. The dichotomy of control frees you from the tyranny of external circumstances. Amor fati transforms obstacles into fuel. Negative visualization removes fear of the unknown. Cosmic vision provides unshakable perspective. Memento mori instills urgency and gratitude. Inner fortitude ensures your mental sovereignty. The discipline of desire eliminates desperate neediness. The eternal present anchors you in reality, and universal sympathy connects you to the whole. These practices create what the Stoics called ataraxia, a state of undisturbed serenity. It's not apathy or indifference, it's profound peace combined with total engagement. It's being in the eye of the storm, calm at the center, while skillfully navigating through chaos. A modern practical application. But how do you implement all this in your modern, hectic, demanding life? Here's the method we developed on the Mentalidade Estoica channel, tested by thousands of practitioners. Started today with 5 minutes of Stoic reflection. It doesn't have to be formal meditation, it can be while sipping your coffee. Recall one of the 9 lessons and set an intention to practice it throughout the day. During the day, use what I call Stoic triggers. Turn everyday irritations into reminders to practice. In line at the bank, practice cosmic vision. Criticism at work, exercise inner fortitude. Bad news? Apply fat love. At night, before bed, do what Marcus Aurelius did. Review your day, not with harsh judgment, but with compassionate curiosity. Where did you act virtuously? Where could you have responded better to what you learned? And here's the ultimate hack. Find a practice partner. Share this video with someone and commit to supporting each other on this journey. Stoicism, despite its focus on individual fortitude, has always flourished in community. That's why we created the Mentalidade Estoica channel to form a community of modern practitioners. The final challenge. Now I want to propose a challenge. For the next few days, practice 1 lesson a day, not superficially, but with total commitment. Day 1, focus solely on the dichotomy of control. Day 2, practice amor fati with everything that happens, and so on. Document your journey in the comments. Share your victories and difficulties. Let's create a chain of transformation, where each person who accepts the challenge inspires 10 others. Imagine the impact. Thousands of people mastering their emotions, spreading serenity and wisdom in a world that desperately needs it. The inconvenient truth, but I need to be brutally honest with you about something. Knowing these lessons is not enough. Even practicing sporadically is not enough. Stoic emotional mastery requires what Epictetus called iron discipline, consistent, daily practice, even when, especially when, you don't feel like it. There will be days when you fail spectacularly, days when anger wins, anxiety dominates, despair seems insurmountable. On those days, remember, Stoicism is not about perfection, it's about progress. Every time you get up after a fall, you are practicing Stoicism. Each time you try again after failing, you are embodying the essence of this philosophy. Seneca confessed his own struggles with anger. Marcus Aurelius admitted moments of weakness and doubt. They weren't superhuman. They were humans committed to continuous growth. That's the whole secret. Commitment to the process, not obsession with the outcome. The moment of truth. We are reaching the end of this journey, but in reality, this is only the beginning. You now hold in your hands, or rather in your mind, the tools that emperors and slaves, warriors and merchants, have used to navigate the most extreme challenges of human life. But unused tools are useless. Knowledge unapplied is merely intellectual entertainment. The question remains, what will you do with what you learned today? Will you return to old patterns of emotional reactivity, blaming circumstances and other people for your internal state? Or will you accept the radical responsibility that Stoicism offers, the responsibility of being the author of your own inner peace? The promise of Stoicism. If you choose the path Stoic, I can't promise your life will be easy. In fact, I can guarantee it won't be. You will still face loss, disappointment, betrayal, illness, and eventually, death. Stoicism isn't a magic wand that makes problems disappear, but I can promise this. You will face everything with a dignity and serenity that will inspire others. You will discover a source of inner strength you didn't know you possessed. You will experience a freedom that no external circumstance can take away. And perhaps most importantly, you will become a beacon of stability in a chaotic world. A living example that it is possible to master your emotions instead of being mastered by them. The legacy you will leave. Marcus Aurelius never intended his meditations to be published. He wrote them for himself, striving to be a better man, a better leader, a better human being. But almost 2,000 years later, his words still transform lives. Why? Because he lived what he wrote. He embodied the principles he preached. What will his legacy be? I'm not talking about monuments or fortunes. I'm talking about the impact your serenity will have on your children, the inspiration your resilience will provide to your colleagues, the example your integrity will set in your community. Every time you choose response over reaction, virtue over vice, courage over cowardice, you are writing your own legacy. You are contributing to the great historical tradition that connects Marcus Aurelius to you through centuries of practitioners who chose wisdom over ignorance, strength over weakness. Final call to action. The moment of decision has arrived. If this content resonated with you, if you feel the call to master your emotions and live with historical wisdom, take action now. First, subscribe to the Mentalidade Estoica channel and turn on all notifications. We don't publish random content. Each video is a carefully crafted tool for your transformation. Missing a video could mean missing the exact lesson you need at a crucial moment. Second, like it, and most importantly, write in the comments, "I accept the 9-day challenge." This public commitment dramatically increases your chances of success. Accountability is a powerful tool for transformation. Third, share this video with at least one person, not for the numbers or views, but because you can be the instrument that brings transformative wisdom to someone who is suffering needlessly. Imagine if someone had shared this wisdom with you years ago. How much suffering could have been avoided? Fourth, explore our playlist of daily historical practices. Each video deepens one of these lessons with additional practical exercises. Knowledge without practice is sterile. Practice without knowledge is blind. You need both. Let me end with a story that encapsulates everything we've discussed today. When Admiral James Stockdale was captured in Vietnam, he spent 7 years in brutal conditions of torture and isolation. How did he survive when others broke? He credits his survival to the Stoic principles of Epictetus, which he had studied before his capture. Stockdale said, "I never lost faith in the story's ending. I never doubted that I would not only survive, but prevail in the end and transform the experience into something defining in my life, something that in retrospect I wouldn't trade for anything." This is Stoicism in action. It's not denying the brutality of reality, it's embracing and transcending it. It's finding meaning in suffering, strength in adversity, growth in challenge. Lastly, the world needs more Stoics. Not in the caricatured sense of emotionless people, but in the true sense. People who master their emotions to serve virtue. People who remain calm in chaos. People who respond with wisdom where others react with ignorance. You have within you the capacity to be one of these people. Not tomorrow, not when conditions are perfect, not when you've fixed all your flaws. Right now, with all your imperfections, fears, and doubts. Stoicism doesn't require you to be perfect, it just requires you to begin. The 9 lessons I shared today are your roadmap. The Mindset Channel Estoica is your support community. Your will is the only missing ingredient. The question isn't whether you can master your emotions, the question is whether you will choose to. The ancient Estoicas had a motto, live according to nature. But what is our fundamental nature? We are rational beings capable of conscious choice. Each time you choose wisdom over ignorance, courage over cowardice, justice over injustice, temperance over excess, you are living according to your highest nature. This is Stoicism's invitation, to become who you truly are. Not a victim of circumstance, but an agent of virtue. Not a slave to emotions, but their rightful master. Not a passive spectator of life, but its heroic protagonist. The goodbye that is a beginning. As you close this video, remember, every ending is a new beginning. The end of this presentation is the beginning of your practice. The end of this lesson is the beginning of your mastery. In the comments, I will personally follow the progress of everyone who accepts the 9-day challenge. I will answer questions, offer support, and celebrate victories, because the Mentalidade Estoica channel is not just a channel, a movement of people committed to excellence of character and emotional mastery. I deeply appreciate you investing your time, the most precious resource there is, on this journey of discovery. But don't thank me for this content. Thank Marcus Aurelius, ca. Epictetus, and all the Stoics who preserved this wisdom through the centuries. Thank yourself for having the courage to seek growth. And, most importantly, transform this gratitude into action. Always remember, you have within you the same spark of wisdom that guided emperors and freed slaves. The same capacity for choice that transformed prisoners into philosophers. The same potential for greatness that defines humanity's true heroes. Stoicism doesn't promise a life without challenges, it promises something much better. The strength to face any challenge. It doesn't offer a world without pain. It offers something superior. Meaning in pain doesn't guarantee external success. It guarantees something more valuable, unshakable inner peace. This is the gift Stoicism offers. This is the power the 9 lessons provide. This is the transformation it offers. Awaits you on the other side of disciplined practice. The journey of miles begins with a single step. Your step today was watching this video. The next step is practice. And each step after that takes you closer to the person you are destined to be. Until our next meeting on the Mentalidade Estoica channel. Remember, circumstances do not make the man, they reveal him. May the circumstances of your life reveal the strength, wisdom, and virtue that have always been within you, waiting only for the decision to emerge. Live virtuously. Master your emotions. Become unshakable. This is the Stoic path. This is your path. Until next time, my Stoic friend. May wisdom guide your steps and serenity be your constant companion.